What's up everyone, it's Dakota and welcome back to another video, and today we're not going to be looking at Modern unfortunately, but we do have a big premiere and probably the premier Magic event coming up in the World Championship that will be taking place this weekend at MagicCon Las Vegas. Always ends up being a super huge event, obviously, and a little bit different of a format uh, and like metaphorically and literally a different format than what we're used to seeing from like the World Championship. So we'll be going over that, how you can watch all that fun stuff, kind of doing what we did for the Lord of the Rings Pro Tour, which was the last major event that we've had for since this and whatnot. But of course, if you want to see more content like this, I do a lot of Modern and Pioneer content, a lot of other essay type stuff, and of course going over some of the premier events. If any of that stuff interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel and ring the notification bell so you know when those videos get posted. On top of that, I have two links in the description down below. One goes to my Twitch channel, one's to Discord. Go ahead, follow those, join, all that great stuff. Just to get more stuff from me if for whatever reason the YouTube stuff just isn't enough to satiate you. That's a new word for me, satiate. So, the World Championship. In years past, the World Championship has essentially been condensed to 24 players. It's been a super like niche metagame. It's been like all the people that have placed highly in Pro Tours, usually with like pro points or other various ways of qualifying for the World Championship. This time around, we have over 100 players facing off in the World Championship, making it for obviously the potential for a more diverse metagame because we've essentially like 4x'd at a minimum the amount of entrants into the event. Uh, but on top of that as well, we're going to see a format that we're not necessarily used to seeing in standard, which we saw last time, and I mean it was pretty good, honestly. And of course, we've had a bunch of sets come out after that, and a metagame that is pretty well diverse. The last time I checked on Goldfish, as of the recording of this video, there was two decks that had 10%, but then past that, there was like three or four other decks that had at least a 7% share of the metagame, with some other decks coming in at like 6 to 6.5%. So I would say a pretty diverse field. And usually in like these smaller events, like when we get to like Pro Tours and we get to the World Championships and stuff, some people pull out some really crazy deck lists and all kinds of different stops. Like you have players that predict the metagame right, and they have some like anti-meta picks that are just very good against some of the top decks that are being played, or you see some players like innovating on those top decks in the format and able to kind of get the edge where maybe from a traditional list going up against other traditional archetypes and stuff that it wouldn't necessarily be favored or wouldn't be in as good of a position. These are some of the best players in the world, if not all the best players in the world, at least from, this past season. They've seized their opportunity. They've done everything that they needed to do at the right time to get to this moment. So, like, just even getting to participate, and it's really cool that more players get to participate in it. I didn't know how I felt about it initially with how many people that did qualify. I was kind of like old boomer mindset of like 24 players, like the best of the best and whatnot. But there's not just 24 best players in the world, so I'm happy to kind of see how this shakes out. I mean, if it's done really well, like I would want to see more World Championships focus on bringing in the amount of players that it has here. Not to the size of like a Pro Tour, because I think there needs to be some sort of specialness, I guess, to it, some exclusivity. So I think like 100 players, just over 100 players is pretty good for right now. All right, so with that out of the way, how can we actually watch the event? Of course, you can watch it on twitch.tv/magic. Also following on X, formerly known as Twitter, at PlayMTG with the hashtag MTG Worlds will allow you to follow it. We are going to be getting 3 rounds of Wilds of Eldraine draft, which is pretty standard for for every Pro Tours. 3 rounds of whatever limited format is like the newest. And then the draft portion will be followed up by 4 rounds of standard constructed, and that'll be for Friday and Saturday. So on the East Coast, where I'm at, it's going to be like 2 p.m. is when the stream's going to start. And of course, there's all these other like time zones and stuff that you can check if you are interested in watching the event. I will say, even though like 2 Pro Tours ago, I wasn't necessarily interested in the standard format. It's a lot of fun, like watching a lot of top players like play Magic, and it gets me to care about a format that I haven't cared about in a while. So while Standard isn't like the sexiest and definitely not the most popular format, I would believe as far as like these constructed events are concerned. I mean, we saw a lot of people turn out for the Pioneer Pro Tour. We've seen a lot of people turn out for the Modern Pro Tour. Standard, was pretty popular as well. So I think it's pretty safe to kind of go with Standard. A metagame that, as the time of this recording, looks to be very diverse. Has a lot of interesting decks. We're going to be able to see what players come up with Wilds of Eldraine just releasing like a few weeks ago from this event. It's going to be really interesting to watch, and even if you're not interested in either the draft or the standard portion of it, just watching all these top players like go at it and stuff, and kind of like break the format, and also show off some of the new innovations and stuff. It's going to be really interesting. I really like that sort of stuff. Sunday, of course, is going to be the top 8 playoff, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern instead of 2 p.m. And we will be following the with all four quarterfinal matches playing concurrently, followed by the semifinal matches and then the World Championship. So, or the finals of the World Championship. This part I don't necessarily like. I liked Pro Tour Sundays, or Magic Championship Sunday. Historically, the World Championship has been played to a top 4. Granted, that was when we had a 24-player format. You would have the 4 best players from like the 2 days of playing go into that top 4 playoff, and then you would watch 3 matches on Sunday. Really cool to expand on that, and add another essentially 4 matches, 4 quarterfinal matches. Just a little disheartening that they're all going to be played concurrently, so that they're all going to be played at the same time, and then we essentially get like tidbits and stuff like that of certain matches. Like this is the premiere of premier events. This is the World Championship. This is something that I would want it to be kind of like an all day like affair. I'm sure like for player wise, like this is good, so like they get to leave and enjoy the rest of the MagicCon that is going on. That said, this is the World Championship. This should be the thing that you try to get people to stay and watch and just want to participate in. And it's just something that I would like to see personally, just like make Championship Sunday like mean something. And I think just showing off as many matches as possible, within a reasonable amount of time is not a hard thing to ask for. Granted, it does put a lot more stress on like the players, does put a lot more stress on the commentators, and all the people running the production and stuff. So like I'm not necessarily like tone deaf to that fact, but like as a spectator, that's what I would want to see. Is like I want to see people just going and playing their best, and I think you kind of get that from a lot of players when you play one match, then another, then another, then another. When you play like those quarterfinal matches, like one starts after one ends, one starts after the next one ends, rather than playing them all concurrently and then everybody just playing their matches. Because from the way I understand this, the semifinals, like two of those 4 people are going to get a break right away, and the other ones are just going to have to play right away. I'm sure there'll be a break in between, but still, like it just felt like there should be a little bit more than that. Make Championship Sunday mean something. How many times can I say that? Competitors begin 9 a.m. on the PT site. It'll be 11 a.m. Pacific time, with a featured drafter into their round 1 gameplay. So whoever gets featured in the draft, we're going to be able to see playing first in whatever pool they're in. We'll probably show like what the pools will be as we get closer to the start of the format, or to the start of the Pro Tour. World Championship, Mythic Championship, whatever the heck they're calling it nowadays. Sunday top 8 playoff begins at 10 a.m., 1 p.m. Eastern, showing a full quarterfinal match and then as many games from the other quarterfinals as possible, moving on to a full semifinal match and as much of the remaining semifinal match and then complete finals. So we're playing every match concurrently. The quarterfinals is being played concurrently, the semifinals is being played concurrently, and then we're just moving right into the finals. So it might actually just be a short day on Sunday. to be honest. So deck lists, they're going to be submitted, and we'll be able to see them at the beginning of round 4 at about 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time, with Wilds of Eldraine draft deck list not being published, which I don't know if that was something that was done before, but I could see that sort of kind of being relevant for the people that really like playing draft and finding out like different draft archetypes that they might not have come to realize themselves, or maybe some of their content creators not really like well versed in like the limited portion of Magic, but it's a lot of fun to play. September 22nd, deck list will go live. September 21st, the deck list data will be ready, and then we'll kind of get a breakdown of like the standard meta game for the World Championship when, on the 21st, which should be the day before the event on Thursday. The broadcast schedule, we have Wilds of Eldraine draft, standard constructed, blah blah blah, so on. With day 3 being the top 8 elimination, which is standard. The broadcasters, a great crew of people, with Maria, Elia. I don't know how to say her name, and I feel so bad because like she is a really good commentator. I just know her as like Elias and stuff, so she's really good. Paul Cheon, Cedric Phillips, Marshall Sutcliffe, Monty, and Corey, all great commentators, great hosts, great entertainers. Riley Knight is the only person that I would like to see like on here, and that's just because I love him. He's probably like probably just my favorite solo commentator, and like you just put him with anybody, and he's just great. He's always cooking. So people can apparently co-stream the event from Twitch.tv. Which is really cool. I will not be able to do that, but I will have fun kind of like watching and giving my thoughts and stuff as we go along. There's nearly 110 competitors playing in the event. The tournament will play out, of course, just a further breaking down. Like, I feel like just kind of padding a lot of like what's here. The playoff matches, I guess I didn't even think to mention this. The playoffs, including the finals, will be a best of 5 games instead of a best of 3, which, is pretty standard for a lot of like top 8s or, top 4s for Pro Tours and World Championships. They play best of 5. 2 games will be played without using the sideboard. Games 3, 4, and 5 will be sideboarded. Players obviously win some pretty big prizes, with the grand prize being $100,000, and every competitor receiving at least $4,000. Even for last place, you get $4,000 for just showing up to the event. So it goes into like playing in RCQs and doing stuff. Look, there's a sweet an offer you can't refuse. Death Shadow, one of my favorite creatures ever printed. That looks sweet. And where you can find some of your regional championship locations depending on where you're located at, and links and stuff. So I will link this article just for reference if you want to go through it yourself. Click on any of the links and so on. So the Magic World Championship, that's the viewer's guide. Of course, I have sprinkled in some of my thoughts to kind of like wrap everything up neatly. I am getting around to the idea of the 100 plus player playoff, 100 player World Championship rather than the super condensed 24 player meta game that we're used to seeing. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out. I think Standard is probably controversial in the fact that it is not the most popular format, but it's kind of falling into this pattern where we have we had Pioneer, then we had Standard, then we had Modern, then we are now having Standard at the World Championship. And while I think Modern would be a home run, even Pioneer would probably be a pretty good format to watch as well. I think Standard is pretty safe. Looking at a very diverse metagame, usually Standard does produce a lot of, I would say, less non-games of Magic, where if we saw Modern right now, I think we would just see like a run back of the metagame that we have seen. Maybe a little less Tron, just because it seems like it's kind of falling off the wayside, as Tron kind of does, which to me doesn't make any sense. But it's I let people cook. There's a lot better deck builders and a lot better players than me, so I just kind of try to like watch the trends and just kind of see where things go. But overall, I think Standard will be a pretty safe option, and I think overall will be pretty entertaining, given the level of competition that is available, and that people are going to have access to and all that. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a fun weekend. I look forward to watching as much of the event as I possibly can. It's always a good time. Again, the commentators are great, the production's great, the players are great. It's just overall awesome. Just the one downfall of all this is I just wish there was more marketing for this sort of thing. Like you don't see any like ads, or you don't see, like there's like the Magic Weekly stream that they do, and I'm sure that they probably talk about it on there. But by and large, like for an event this big with $1 million prize pool and $100,000 going to first place, and even all the other Pro Tours past, before this, there hasn't been a lot of marketing for this sort of thing. And I think for a lot of people, when you had all these different, Star City games, you had, NRG currently right now, I guess along with Star City in a way, but, you had all these different circuits, and you had all these, different places where like you could qualify for, get buys at Grand Prix back when Grand Prix were a thing, and going to Pro Tours and getting to qualify for this World Championship, qualify for the next Pro Tour, and so on. And it's unfortunate that, for a lot of people, that was like a way to market themselves. That was a way for them to, grow, into content creating, grow into as like players, be more connected with the community and things like that. And it's a little unfortunate that there isn't a heavier marketing, push for these premier events, especially now that we don't have things like Grand Prix or even like Magic Fest, where we essentially had like Grand Prix style events that people could play in, and were streamed and stuff like that. We just kind of have, we have other people doing it on their own. Like shout out to Anurag Das, because he is an awesome creator, really good guy. I've never personally met him, but just I can kind of get like the vibes that he is a person that's passionate about the game, and we need people like that to help grow the community and to kind of help market it and get it to be as popular as it can be. Just for the fact that it's exciting to watch people play. And I think it's even more exciting when, you see like all these different promos, and you see these different, kind of like advertisements showing off the players and showing off, the formats and stuff like that. Which I think is like a net positive for Magic as a whole. Who knows what is in store for next year? We know the sets and stuff like that. We know kind of what's coming out, but I don't think we know necessarily the schedule, aside from like where some of the regional championships are, at least like in America. So definitely would like to see. There's some more stuff I would like to see for the 2023-2024 season, but it is yet to be seen. So hopefully we will see some positive changes in that regard going forward. But with that said, that'll wrap up our look at the World Championship. It's going to be a great event, great time. I look forward to watching it, and I hope you all do as well. Even with it not being the format that we necessarily cover, I think it's still going to be, a great event overall. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos like this, modern content, Pioneer, so on, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, so you know when those videos go live, and then of course when I go live on YouTube. And if you go into the links down in the description below, you'll see a link to Discord. Go ahead and join over there as well. That's going to do it for me. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.